ask everyone, if you will, so we can begin with prayer. We ask you to please rise. You just stay where you are because you are the East already, so ain't nothing special. Everything travels from the center to the outer bounds, all right? Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, through Ali. Amen. Islam, you can be seated. Thank you. I want to rise and give praise to Allah and honor to the Prophet Noble Ali. Extend much honor to this great occasion that we have to love one another. It's been a long time, Moorish, and we have a lot of grounds to cover. Extending from last night, we're going to go to another much higher level, dealing with nation time, which is the reason why Noble Ali came to us in the very first place. All right, and there's a lot of grounds, like I said, a lot of things we have to uncover tonight. But more importantly, equally importantly, where do we fit in at? What's in the future? Okay. What does the Lord preserve for us? And let me know if you can hear me back. Can you hear me in the back? No. No, you can't hear me, but you can hear me. We got a problem. Okay. Oh, okay. And so what we want to do is to cover a lot of grounds tonight in a brief period of time and pass on some responsibility, okay? Because you are responsible for what you know, okay? If you ever wonder how come people have been successful at things, because they don't know. You cannot be successful at something that you do not know anything about. The same thing with being yourself, the same thing with being the truth. So what I want to do, I'll be your host instructor for the evening. My name is Dr. Elihu Pleasant Bay. I'm the Grand National Chairman of Moorish America, and we are honored tonight to have our staff with us. And we have our Grand Sheikh, Brother Grand Raphael, and we also have our Grand Mufti, Brother Tahaka Bey, who will be with us for the evening. And we're going to do things just a little bit off schedule tonight. I want to ask the Grand Mufti, if he will, to have a few words with you. And then I'll speak, or we'll have the Grand Sheikh to have a few words. And then we go ahead and get to our subject matter, okay? So they've traveled from great distances to come and try to assist our brothers and sisters. No one is here is any greater than anybody else. We all got a job to do, okay? And every last one of us is under the jurisdiction of the United States until we ourselves do otherwise. Do not be deceived. You got a job to do. The only people that can free you is you, okay? So with this in mind, I want to bring to the floor our National Grand Mufti from Louisville, Kentucky, and some other parts of the world I don't care to mention right now, Brother Tahaka Bey. Islam.
Islam. I rise to give praise to the great God Allah and to Prophet Noble Drew Ali and to Duse Muhammad and to Marcus Garvey. Islam. I want to share with you in a way what I've seen a motif to be in the years that I've been able to be up under this grand man tutorship. I see security, and I don't see security just physically. I started seeing security years ago in a psychic development underway. Security is always with the mind, being able to feel what somebody else is thinking about you and how they really want to handle you. One guy asked me about the break or the fall or Kima. That was okay. That was in my first stage understanding. Yapan Seanage, that was okay with a hip throw and all that. Diashihara, that was okay too. Zakin, that was okay too. But what I really learned after years of development was that all the weapons I had, Inri, Shuto, whatever, I had to have a breathing technique that identified my inner powers. I had to have a mind that had no fear, that became neutralized and took control of the individual in front of me. I had to become positive. You know, I see everybody saying, well, what is this grand motif? What, do he walk around and guard? Is he on? No, I watch. I pay attention, I listen. I recognize your voice with tones. I recognize your disposition. I feel vibration from you when I meet you. I look for you for feelings. That's natural. That's what we're born with. You're supposed to not doubt yourself when you feel something ain't right with somebody. Approach them and look at them immediately and say, I don't feel good about you. Now you know what? Some of y'all done already done that. You told somebody one time or another, I don't know, but I don't feel too cool about you. I don't think you are for me. That's self-defense. Self-defense is defending oneself. Of course, we got corporation where you start doing it in a corporate type of way. But it starts individually first. One of the guys asked me, he said, well, do you know weapons? What kind of weapon you want me to have? I first learned natural weapons. Don't you learn how to walk natural? And if you have not learned to walk natural, notice how off balance you are and how short-winded you get. Because every time a foot come up, the air go out, and a foot go up, and the air come in. And you do that from just natural. But once you are aware of what you're doing, you then perform it with sense and a pattern. I'm not going to talk to you too long here, but I just felt that I'm always coming up here and I'm saying 101 and 102, and I want to talk naturally. My life was being a martial artist. I didn't plan it. It happened. And so I followed it. I went to Suwannee, Korea, Osani, Yeongdeungpo, also Suwon, Tachikawa, Tokyo, all through the East in my early days. And I learned that you wouldn't believe it, but we taught them.
That's right.
On the hieroglyphics. Have you seen the hieroglyphics in behalf of your chromatic writings on the walls? Have you noticed that we were playing with the 5/5 form, the 5 animal movements? We had that. The Chinese or the Japanese came from our ancestor lines. You need to know that. The highest samurai warrior is a black warrior. You need to hear that. And so that's what we have here to give you, to say, let's look at security. First, you got to become secure within yourself before you can secure me. Security starts at home. But security is not always hitting and striking, is it? Security is sometimes thinking, writing. You got writing skills. Notice when you put words down, you are questioning somebody, or you examine them, or you making a proposal for them to get ready to buy something from you. Your mind is working with a defense skill. So we say here, the Moorish Science Temple, or the MANG, out of the Sunday school come the guiders of the nation.
That's right.
Well, you mean I was a kindergarten? I was in the kindergarten. I finally got where now I can do my work and be able to work with society and meet people. That's all government mean. Government broke down mean to govern one's action and take it seriously enough where it become a manifestation of the ruling of the kingdom. First, you got to become a nation before you can govern. This is what this man is here for. He is the man over the government. His conversation is on illustration of government. Not a club, not the fraternity. I had to be all them things. because I forget what I've learned. But I just want to say that today because I want this to be real for you today. This man got some beautiful stuff to give, but you got to be open to receive it. And you got to understand it's sacred in its portion where it's supposed to be at. You can't take his teaching and put it in a kindergarten dropout. Okay? That's all I got to say. And I feel my vibrations and why I finally got to the point. Kindergarten dropouts can't understand what this man is getting ready to tell you. Now get upset at me. Hotel.
Shem Hotel. Islam. Islam, Moorish. We in fact, I'm going to just go ahead and call on the Grand Sheikh, who has traveled a great distance just to be here and to try to give us some portion. So we ask everyone to, let me give you a history about sheikhs. You've heard this term, especially those around Chicago. You've been hearing sheikh for a long time. Grand Sheikh this and Sheikh that, you know. And I'm quite sure that all of us have had the opportunity to hit the internet or watch television and things. And you find that throughout the world there's sheikhs. All over the globe you'll find sheikhs, mainly in the East. There's sheikhs, there's sheikhs, okay, you know, in India, it's spelled a little different, okay? The thing about it is that every sheikh that you know anything about is always connected to a nation, okay? Except for here in the United States. The Prophet introduced us to certain titles. He even told us our free national name, Moorish America, but he gave it to you for a reason. You have to become that, okay? You have to learn how to be that. Same thing with the title Sheikh, Sultan, Caliph. There's a different other titles, even the pharaohs, if you want to go that deep, okay? But these are all connected to a nation or a government of people, all right? So, in other words, if you don't have a nation, if you don't have a government, which will be explained to you later, you can't have a sheikh. How you gonna have a sheikh who's a leader, political leader, spiritual leader or otherwise? All sheikhs are connected to what we call a theocratic government, okay? We explained that last night, but in case you weren't here, a theocracy begins at the top with the universal order, the great God, if you will, no matter what name you may call it. In English, they don't have a name for the great God, okay? But everywhere else they do. So you start at the top there. For example, in Judaism, in order to have a, which is a theocracy, all of its officials, its politicians and leaders, they must be a rabbi, right? In the world of Judaism, right? In the world of Islam, which is another theocratic government, all of your political leaders and heads of state or whatever the case may be, there must be an imam, right? The same thing with us. We are the first religious creed, a theocracy. So our ministers or leaders have to be divine ministers. From there you can become a sheikh or whatever the case may be, okay? But you got to be a government, a nation first, all right? So with this in mind, I want to bring to the floor our own national Grand Sheikh. Not from no organization, not from no club, groups, fraternal order, secret society, none of that. A recognized Grand Sheikh of our own Moorish American government. Islam. Grand Sheikh.
Islam. Islam. Once again, we rise and give a lot of praise, adoration, thanksgiving, and glory for giving us the breath to reveal our story. Not his story, but our story. And we give honors to his love thought, our brother, man, and prophet, Noble Drew Ali, who came vaulting over the tombstones of Negroes, colored folks, black people, Ethiopians, etc., demonstrating you are what your forefathers were, and that there is no man, and that his power extends beyond the universal creator, Allah himself, that can change your descent nature, man. as a people. I added that. We give honors to our staff, the officials of our government, well-wisher supporter, Grand Mufti Corps, angels, divine ministers, Moorish citizens, sympathizers, and supporters. But we give you a special honors for honoring yourself on this day by coming out to hear what we have to say. Islam is the law, and the law is alive. Islamism is our religion. Our loveism is Islamism. Islam? We ain't gonna hold you briefly or too long. It is true that we travel desert plains, but we're doing alt, see, because it's about our Father's work. And when he said, he put that call out there and said, hey, Mo, you got to get there because them brothers in Chicago, so they looking for that light just like you was. So that's our duty then, to come and share and get some understanding with our brothers and sisters, that they may have a better course, if you will, of seeing what the end gonna be. See, and having a clear conception of why we're here on this earth, because we're more than what we see. See, you know, why we encase this garb called flesh. Who is it that directs this demonstration? So we want in our government to teach our people to be themselves. In order to do that, you got to teach people where they come from. See, and you teach people where they come from by teaching them to know themselves. See, and the 3/5 that was taken away from our people, or the 2/5 that was taken away, what was it? What was it that was taken away? Islam. The 2. If it added to the 3, that will make it what? That will make it 5. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced. This is what we're missing today. This is why you have such division among us as a people today. This is why you got so many big eyes and little U's. Everybody want to be the shot caller, but ain't nobody going nowhere. When you're shooting each other. And Chicago is notorious for that. Something's wrong with that picture. Here it is, you got the accumulated wealth of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and you letting your babies die in the street down here? And then you have the audacity or gall to tell one that you don't need no outside. You need some kind of help. Call to Allah for your refuge and your salvation. Rarely one do that. Only time one call on Allah is when they're in trouble. But in good time, you don't even speak about Allah. You talk about that almighty dollar. You give that demonstration praise, honor, and glory. You go out here and buy ones for a few nickels, dimes, and sell your sister real cheap. You can sell yourself cheap. Working for the other man instead of your brother man. As far as accumulating some type of industry that's going to be of benefit to you and your people. Everybody else comes over in this country and get filthy rich off of you. Something wrong with that picture. So we got a lot of things that we must question when we talk about integrity, morals, principles, and standards of a people and of a nation. Where's our morals, our principles, our standards as a nation, as a people? We're not divided nor subdivided. We're supposed to be united. When it says there are no big eyes, no you, it means form, follow, function in the context that when it's set out Like when the order goes out, then one at the lowest pole of the totem pole carries out the order, and it ain't no confusion about what one has said from the top. We know we got work to do. So one say, well, how would I know what the order is? You got to keep your ear to the ground. In other words, you got to be in the know of what's going on in your government. I mean, organizations are cool, because that's a school. It's supposed to be a tool, but man has abused it, misused it, and confused it. See, the prophet said, more is not careful, your own brother put you back in slavery. And he said this demonstration is going to disappear from the face of the earth. Talking about the Moorish Science Temple. Because ones would sleep at the steering wheel. Mufti was talking about security. That's the first and foremost principle. This is why we failed over 500-something years ago, because we wasn't at our posts, wasn't at our station.
That's right. That's right.
Now we discombobulated. Everybody, God bless that baby back there, everybody misusing us. Be very choicy and courteous about my words. Misusing us, abusing us. See, they should have an opportunity to have a little bit better than we had. Of course, we ain't doing too bad, are we? I think we are, because it was 1913 AD when the love thought came, just one man breathed that breath of life on every living thing. He was like a gardener, because that's our lesson this week, as a matter of fact, talking about the plane of soul. He planted the seed. He planted seeds in the garden, and it grew apace. It became a living soul, or a living thing. It became a beautiful thing, and it went out and replenished the earth. But it got caught up. It got distracted along the way. It wasn't demonstrating what it was supposed to be demonstrated, because the soul attributes became what? A body beautiful, and a multitude of lessons man must what? Learn upon what? The plane of soul. And here he what? Tarries many ages until what? His lessons are all learned. You are the chosen, if I can use that word carefully, because I don't want to be in that Jew demonstration talking about the one. No, because we are the one. Make no mistake about it. We the ones. But it's a lesson that you have to be prepared within your own temple to take to the earth, to the nations of the earth. This is why the prophet said, the prophet Noah Ali, that we may reclaim what is rightfully ours, our divinity, our nationality, better known as our birthright. Everybody down here on earth has a birthright. Don't you think it's right that you should have one too? How is it that you let this European, I'm gonna call him that, come in your father's house, security, where you at? Come in your father's house, take your brothers and sisters, put them in chains and shackles, and beat them across the head until they almost dead, underfed, misled, and confused and abused into a foreign occupation. And we sit around and say it's the reverse of things that should come. Remember, we're talking about the kingdom of the soul now. This is talking about a carnal evolution that's unfolding right before our very eyes. We are the sum total, or the end result of the things that unfolded. See, because the lesson don't never stop. You don't never die. I'm gonna give it to you like that. So you don't never die. In this demonstration, you might pass form, but you ain't dead. See, that's a misconcept. See, and I'm saying this to say, because I don't want to take up too much time, we are here because we're here now because we've always been. That makes sense? I'm making sense to y'all. We've always been. See, there's nothing new to us. We just have to relearn what we have stored here. We have to disentangle, disengage the distortions that confuse or cloud our judgment, our minds. We got to clear our minds of the misconceptions, of the false teachings. See, somebody told you wasn't God. Somebody told you to worship God over in some old high palace, pearly white gates, and it takes you 1,000,000 lifetimes to get to him. But it didn't tell you that God was within you, not on the outside of you. When they said, "In God we trust," what was they showing you? When they said, "In God we trust," what was they showing you? Now, what did they show you when they said, "In God we trust"? Come on, y'all, work with me. Huh? Where that sister at? I heard that sister. Ruth, I heard you. Where you at, Ruth? Demonstrate. What was they showing you?
When they said, "In God we trust," they were talking about themselves.
Oh, in the picture, depiction. Because they got him hanging in every wall in every house in Moorish America. We go into my grandmother, go in their house, and there's one up in there, hanging on the wall. But what about the brother that looks like her? She don't trust him. Why is it that she don't trust him? Because he done violated. He done went up in her house and robbed her, took things from her, this, that, and other. See him selling dope out in front of her house. See him shooting her kids in the head and killing ones, dropping ones, and misusing our women, misusing our children. See, that's what she sees. This is her enemy because he has turned us against each other. See, Willie Lynch and his powerful expose demonstrated that you can break him and her and make them what you want them to be. And they will demonstrate what you want them to be maybe for over 300 some odd years. So they can set a ball rolling, and I'm paraphrasing it, down on the thing where you don't have to do nothing. But he cautioned them. Now I'm going to leave this with y'all. Morris students, scholars, ADAPs, leaders, learners of the truth, listen to this. Every now and then, he said, if we are not careful, he said, because the mind has the ability, what they call reprogram. It's just like a computer. So you don't never forget. Everything you see, mind's picking it up everywhere. You may not consciously be aware of it, but if you go to put it on playback, it's done caught more than the picture caught. You see, he said, you are not careful, this one will mess around and recorrect himself by touching, get these words, upon a substantial historical base. A substantial historical base. If he touches upon that substantial historical base, we in trouble. Well, brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you, we done already did that. We did it in the year 1886. Fast forward to 1913 AD. But see, when they sent Allah and our ancestor, Chung Shu, sent our beloved prophet, Noble Ali, as our redeemer, emancipator, our salvation ladder, if you will, to this earth, this light. Moses was sent to the Jews. Muhammad was sent to the Muslims or the Arabs over there in the East, and a multitude of other ones was sent to them. Don't you think you worthy to have one come looking like you, demonstrating the love that you know is divine? Why would you reject it? You know, no offensive towards brothers and sisters, the public here at this meeting, but you know, the love thought was he was misused here in this state. We come out of that sad misunderstanding, because those that did it, we said, woe, like he said 2,000 years ago. Woe unto those that forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. See, now we got to rest in the coffin, and I know our chairman's going to be talking about that for yet another 80-some-odd years. You know, one flipping us. We going to a temple, and we thinking that the people in the temple is teaching us the right thing. But they come find out they up there serving some kind of worshipful master. I mean, and where I understand it, because I really understand it now, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot do it. Either you love the one, you sure enough gonna hate the other. The question is, which one do you choose? We choose to be a good Muslim. Our will is in conformity with the will of the great one, the universal one, the almighty eternal one. Why? Because I know that I am a cause of thought that came from the everlasting of the past until the never-ending days to come. I'm always going to be here. You're always going to be here. We're always going to be here. We have work to do in this dispensation. We came back to take care of the things we didn't get done 15, 20, 30, 40, 80 years ago. You know internally what I'm talking about. I don't have to tell you who you are. You already know who you are. It's just that you need some direction. And I'm saying this, follow your prophet. All said and done, follow your prophet. Prophet know what you are lead. He ain't gonna lead you astray. He ain't gonna lead you wrong. Now your government is here and set up for you. Prophet did this. He said, first of all, get a good European education, then I can use you. We need the lofty wisdom of you Moorish peoples who think your condition can be better. It is your duty to join your government. Not join your, what did I say? That's not appropriate. No. To come to work. You join organizations. You join temples. You join churches. You join synagogues. You join, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is your government. You come to work. Because we ain't playing up in here.
No, sir.
We got 60 million souls that we got to redeem. That's what our mission is. And we need all the help. If you think your condition can be better, you in the right place. At the right time. And I don't want to bore you with redundant conversation, but it's always good to dialogue with our Moorish kin, here, there, and everywhere. It's an abundance of love, universal love, that we extend from Shenchu, or our ancestors. On behalf of our ancestors, they reach out to us and they want this message delivered here in Chicago. You Moorish American Muslims who are able and capable, stop these killings in these neighborhoods, on these streets. Y'all got the power. We ones that belong to these temples. If you ain't stabilizing your community, you ain't doing no work. If you ain't bringing one into your temple and teaching them their nationality and releasing them when they have completed their course, not enslaving them in the temple. Prophet gave the temple 2 doors, a front door and a side or back door. How do I know that? Because he said what? Out from your Sunday school comes what? You can't guide no nation in no temple. That's for the children. The adults, men and women who think their condition can be better, they out here building. You see? So we don't want to have an illusionary misconception that all Pleasant Bay and Rapid Hill always talking about the Moors and what are y'all working on? And then you're going to sit up there and try to hinder one who's working on behalf of their people. We can go back for the United Nations. We got one standing up there protesting. You were talking about the prophet's flag. You don't know nothing about the prophet's flag. You weren't even born in. You go on what somebody else done told you. Man don't not by being told. If he must know, he must what? Himself be what he know. So we got to quit playing. When you talk about God's spell, all we can say about God's spell is what? Great, good, was, is, there's more to be. Amen. Islam.
All right. What's the greatest? What's the no prophet? Who are his successors? Hills and bays. Hills and bays. Wheels and ways.
Wills and ways. Islam.
Islam.
So I want to thank the Grand Sheikh for giving us that heartwarming information And we're going to do something tonight. Like I said, we're going to share some responsibility tonight. It's not enough to know that you're Moorish American. Okay? The time has gone and passed on for playing Moorish American games and other civic foolishness, okay, that has not saved near soul nor opened the door for any nation, okay? That time is gone. It's not here anymore. You must also take into consideration that the beloved Prophet Noble Ali prophesied all of these events. He went so far as to say that if you don't believe I'm a prophet, then watch my prophecies. He prophesied that the Moors would not even come into their own till around the year 2000. Go figure. What about the Moors of the 30s, 40s and 50s, 60s and 70s and 80s, even the 90s? How many Moors have you heard of talking about Moorish American government? Noble Ali did throughout his constitution, throughout all of his literature. He even told the Moors, said, look, these are your general laws dealing with his organization, the Moorish Science Temple. He said that but the supreme laws will be handed down to you later. Okay? He said it would take the third and fourth generation before they can recognize the good of his works. They will come in with their eyes wide open. They will recognize the work that they have to do. Okay? You hear a lot of things about Noble Ali, especially here in Chicago. Now, I'm not one that's down in Chicago, but Chicago got a lot of cleaning up to do. Okay? Of me, I am the foremost authority and defender of Noble Ali, especially when it comes down to what happened here in Chicago. Me, I didn't get the title Swift Ranger #1 by accident. Okay, I'm here the #1 defender of Noble Ali. I'm here defending Noble Ali when no one else would defend him. Talk about him, use his name, but defend him, no. Okay? What is the duty of a prophet?
Save the nations from the wrath of Allah.
Okay, I'll ask it one more time. What is the duty of a prophet?
To save nations from the wrath of Allah.
This right here has never changed. From all the way from the very first prophet, which you can find in the great Quran of Muhammad, speaking about Adam, okay, which is the fallen state, his name was actually Esher. But from him all the way up to Drew Ali, the duty of a prophet always remained the same. Okay? Be it Solomon, Hezekiah, Joseph, it doesn't matter. All the prophets' responsibility remained the same. And that was to save the nation from falling short of being themselves as gods. Okay? It was absolutely forbidden to teach people that they and God are one. Okay? We was fortunate enough, I had a Moorish American to turn his back on me and have me locked up. And I could not thank him enough. I guess to say, what is wrong with me now? He did me a favor, but he also did you a favor too. This is in 1996, okay? Robert Lovell, if you want me to get personal, because, you know, I ain't got no fee up in here. The thing about it is that as a result of him having me locked up into the European jail, so you must remember, having a jail system in the United States, they got the largest prison system of any country in the world. I wonder why, after 500 years of slavery. Okay? And for you to put the Europeans on your brother, that's a no-no. Okay? I know right here, when I remember back in the days, the El Rookins, and you got the disciples and the Crips and whatnot and things, the El Rookins and things. But the thing about it is that when it comes down to saving the nation of people, there's only one way this can be done. Only one way. We have here in the Moorish American government, we have a consulate headquarters here in the state of Illinois. There's only one consulate here in the state of Illinois, okay? And the consulate general, which is the official title of the one that's in charge of the consulate. Now let me explain what a consulate is. How many of you are familiar with the word embassy? You've heard it a lot, right? Embassy, right? But embassies are representatives of nations and governments that's in foreign or upon foreign soil. This is where you find embassies at. You find embassies here, but the country is not here, okay? Because this is a foreign soil. You may find the Chinese embassy, okay? Or India, okay, even Morocco, okay? But a consulate has the same representative powers of a nation or a government, whether on native land or foreign soil, it doesn't matter. That's the consulate, okay? So a consulate is a representative of the Moorish American government here in Moorish America, which is on our own land anyway. But we have to come together as a people to prove that we are the lawful and rightful owner, okay? Now, we had a question last night and said, well, what about the slave master? Ain't he still whooping us? Ain't this his land? And we got to acknowledge to him. No, we do not. Who you going to have confidence in? The former slave master, they ain't got no power because all his power was in you anyway, you know, or your ancient forefathers and the prophets. The choice is yours, okay? I'm going to pass this around. You can lose it out of the way in the community. Just pass it out there. This right here is for those who primarily reside here in the greater Chicago area. It's not really a registration. But if you want to be a part of the consulate here, and I'm going to turn the information over to our consul general here, A.K. Muhammad El, okay, Abdul Karim Muhammad El. He is the consulate general here, okay? Put your name on the list that says that you are willing to make contact with him and support your consulate here. This is not a Moorish Science Temple. This is not a church. This is not a religious affiliation. It is not a civic group. We are not under the dominion of the corporate United States, because the United States is not a country. It's a corporation. It's been a corporation ever since 1871. Okay? It's been a corporation. It lost its individual sovereign powers and went back under the British rule in 1870 because they recreated slavery under another name. Okay? You can just pass it on, or you ain't got to just, you know, they'll pass it on themselves. They recreated slavery under another name, meaning the 14th and 15th Amendment, and they re-enslaved us all over again after the Emancipation Proclamation didn't do anything. That was the Article of War anyway. It didn't mean nothing, okay? If it meant something, then you wouldn't have had no need for the 13th Amendment, which came in 1865, okay? That's what abolished slavery. This is all the powers that you needed from your former slave master, the United States, was for them to create a system where they could abolish slavery. The rest is on you. You did not want them or anybody else to have the power to free you. Anybody that's got that kind of power has also got the power to do what? Re-enslave you again. Okay? So you don't want people to have the power. How many of you have joined organizations, groups, and clubs and things, and then they got ticked off at you? Okay? Let me put the two hands. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right? Because that happened to me in the Moorish Science Temple back in '78. Because I refused to say a prayer with another man's name in it. Okay? Other than Drew Ali. Okay? And for that reason, I left. I left my wife there and everything. Hey. Okay? All right? All right? And the reason why, because look, I'm not about to go backwards. Okay? He's telling me, well, for the first time in ages, man can see the God he's praying to. I don't think so. And the first lesson that you taught me was who made me, and it won't you. Okay? So if you wonder why I left the Moorish Scientific American in 78, that was the reason why. Okay? But upon investigation, they told me, yeah, go ahead, Pleasant. Wait a minute, what do you mean Pleasant? I was Pleasant Bay all this time. No, you ain't a Moorish American no more. Get out of here. I said, but I got children that was born in Pleasant Bay and wives and stuff. They don't make no difference. They ain't Pleasant Bay either. Why? Because we reserve the right. We make you a Pleasant Bay, we can take Pleasant Bay away. Hey, sound familiar? Okay? Now, you know that ain't right. Okay? That's not what Noble Drew Ali said. That's not what he brought. Okay? But that's what happened when you have been nationalized. When some entity has brought you under its power and has enslaved you, entrapped you. Okay? Now, this is not speaking negative, but it's time to reveal the history for what it is so that you won't keep making the same mistake again. Okay? You've got a job to do, and you can't do it in somebody else's shoes. You got to lace up your own bootstraps. Okay? You got to make a stand with your own. And all this, don't overstand, not up in here, please. I overstand. How in the world can you overstand? Can you take that in the court of law? I overstand. Okay? When understanding is the rock on which man builds himself. If that's the rock on which you build yourself, by understanding, because that's one of the actions of the soul, am I right?
Yes, sir. Thinking,
Reason, willing, understanding, remembrance. Okay? Now all of a sudden you want to overstand. Because it sounds slick. It do, because it came from a slick people. All right? We're talking about the people so slick because you got to remember, those people who have been enslaved under another man's supremacy will develop a language of their own that they can communicate with each other. The Hebrews did it. They brewed up a language of their own. They was mad at the Pharaohs. They didn't like slavery. Because what? The Hebrew was a slave name. This is what the Corinthians named their slaves, Hebrews. Had they been in the United States, they'd be Negroes. This was the name that was given to slaves. Okay? So what they did, they said, well, all right. They start using this very language of the Corinthians, and they changed some of the words and flavors of the word so that it would fit their character. And they took this and developed a crisis of its own. The same thing with us. We took the word bad. And you know what bad is. Ain't nothing good about bad. But we add a few more A's to it. That's a bad more there, you know. When we did that, now bad means good. But that's a slave language. Okay? You can't take bad into a court of law. Yeah, Your Honor. Remember how bad the boy was when he smacked the lawyer on the butt? That was a bad move. He locked him up again. Okay? So I'm saying that you have to be careful about the language that you use. Okay? If it doesn't free you, let it go. Don't let someone take your language that's going to free you and turn it around into something else. Okay? For example, if you don't know the value of what the Moorish American is, you let somebody else make you think it's a member of a religious organization. Okay? It's nothing wrong, you just didn't know. Okay? But when the time comes like now, and you find out differently what a Moorish American really is, okay? And we put out in this little pamphlet here dedicated to Noble Drew Ali. It's called the Book of Ali. I guess most of you have it by now. But anyway, in here, it defines the word, the difference between Moorish and Moroccan, because we are Moorish American. Well, to be Moorish American, you got to take a lot of things into consideration that we discussed last night. One, what is the history that brings the Moorish into fold? I ain't never heard of no Moorish. I went to the UN recently. We had some Moors there, and they changed to come back and voted out the name Moorish American. They voted out Robert's Rules of Order. Would you believe that? And voted out the very name Moorish American.
That makes sense.
And changed it to Mirror. Yeah. Okay. Now they call it UMAR, a United Moorish. That's MUUR, United Moorish American Aboriginal Republic. Now I told y'all last night about what a republic is, and you ought to have enough of the republic for which you stand. That's because it's been standing in you. Okay? So when it comes down to look at what a Moorish is, the Moorish is, the prophet used the word descendant. Okay? When he described a Moorish American in the Divine Constitution Act 6, he said the Moorish Americans are descendants. This right here separates you from property, it separates you from chattel slavery, it separates you from membership, it separates you from all the foolishness. It gives you a descendant nature, okay? Meaning that you got a genealogy, a line in which you can descend from and down through. Meaning you got to have forefathers, history, heritage, all this other good stuff. Meaning there's nations and tribes and other things, all right? The more powerful thing about the word descendant, when you look in the Quran, the prophet also says that no man has got the power to change you from the descendant nature of your forefather unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. That's how powerful that word descendant is. But people don't want you to descend from nothing. They tell you a member. And you go for it because you didn't know no better. Well, today is June the 30th, 2013, 100 years after Noble Drew Ali brought the love here. Now you know better.